Hey, so hi everybody. Thanks a million for joining us today. I'm delighted to be joined by Anne-Marie, her professional declutter from White Sage Decluttering. Anne-Marie, thanks a million for coming on board.
Thank you now for this opportunity.
No problem at all. Well, it's lovely to connect. So, what we're going to look at today, guys, and we're getting lots of questions about recently, is kind of organizing maybe a space at home, organizing bits of study spaces, as we're leading up to preparations maybe for school and state exams, but then also that transition into the summertime. Don't really want to always have kind of books and stationaries and all bits and pieces kind of lying around during the summer. So Marie is going to provide us with some kind of practical tips and suggestions today of things to kind of do at home or even as a teacher, things to do in the classroom as you wrap up for the school term. And then, she'll provide some details of kind of some upcoming things that she'll be working on as well for you to link in with her. So, Marie, do you want to give us a little bit of a background, to the things that you've done previously or areas that you're involved with and a little bit of an overview about yourself?
Perfect. Well, thank you, Una. So I am Amber Kingston. I'm a professional declutterer. I'm based here in Clonakilty, West Cork. So I support clients both in person and online. And I also do a lot of, I suppose, community work because what I do when I go to clients' homes, I take away their clutter, which is absolutely the icing in the cake. So I would support obviously the charity shops, but I do a lot of, items that, are absolutely perfect condition. And I would, rehome them to places that need them. If it's in the community, if it's into schools, if it is into anywhere that is looking for it, because I'm 100% anti-skips, to be quite honest, and I'm trying to do a bit for the environment. So, I'm all about rehoming and relocating items because the amount of people, Una, that don't realize where they can take stuff is phenomenal, to be quite honest. And that's where a lot of people, fall down when it comes to decluttering is they're not getting the clutter out of the house fast enough. So I suppose I'm a mother of three kids. So Ryan is soon to be 11, Quiva is 9, Holy Communion at the weekend, excuse me, and Cara is just gone 3. So Martin and John were dairy farmers here at Clonakilty. So it is busy. And I then support clients, I'm based here in Clonakilty, but I travel like, 2 hours, distance. That brings me to Kerry, into Limerick, into Waterford border. And I also open my diaries to then go nationwide throughout the year as well. So yeah, so that's me really in a nutshell. I suppose the only award-winning professional declutterer in Ireland. I've been decluttering for the last, oh Lord, 30 odd years. I've been decluttering probably from the age of 7 or 8. So I've been at it for a long, long time. I qualified as a professional declutterer back in 2016, 17, and set up my business in White Sage Decluttering in the 1st of March 2017. And the rest is history.
Amazing. Well, it's such a fabulous a skill
Mhm.
set to have, and it's something that, many people maybe not have. And as again, we accumulate things and kids accumulate stuff. So I suppose the main kind of where we could kick off, Marie, is what might you suggest for parents that again maybe they want aspects to be released, let's say, or be kind of rehomed and maybe a child or a teenager doesn't. What maybe practical things could they do around that as to try and decipher how do we kind of, clear areas in the house or clear areas in a bedroom?
Yeah. So the first of all, when I was coming out this morning, the first thing I thought of is, look, schools are going to be wrapping up very shortly, like secondary schools, national schools will follow, and universities. I'd always say, like, the minute school finishes, the bag, because the amount of homes I go into and the school bag is there from the previous year and the previous academic year. Take out literally when the kids come in, I was like, open the bags, and the bags are literally everything's taken out. Again, all those workbooks, again, they're not reused. Back in the days, nowadays, like everything was sent on to the next sibling, things have changed. So I read there and then whatever needs to go into recycling bin, recycle, because what happens is all that stuff goes up into a bedroom or into the attic for many years to come. So if you can nip it there and then, and it'll make life so much easier. And you'll also see as well then there's going to be biros, twistables, pencils, highlighters, everything extra, empty prick sticks. That's where you can sort them there and then because I know as my kids get older as well, they're like, Ma'am, I've plenty in like colours or stuff for the next year. And straight away you're cutting down on time, money and energy on that. So like just nip that And I'm telling you, it'll be a game changer for everyone who's listening to this, right? Then when it comes to, like, there could be items, you know, that the kids want to hold on to. Like I'd always say, especially when the kids are younger, you know, they do essays, there's nice, you know, funny stories. Definitely add those to like a keepsake box. Every family member should have a keepsake box, a simple clear storage box. Make sure you could see into it and label it. And again, you know, you're putting it in there and you're reviewing it all the time. You're going back into it. Again, artwork is another thing that us mothers go through. Not as much now actually as the kids get older, but in the early days, you know, there's a lot of artwork comes home. Again, see what you want to keep. Like if the pasta is starting to fall off the sheet, maybe that could go for recycling. You know, we can't hold on to everything. That's what I keep saying. But definitely do get the kids involved and say, look, what piece would you like to hold on to, what not? And then they're like, and the thing is, right, basically, like to just backtrack on like clutter is items we haven't used in the last 12 to 18 months. So again, are they going back in 12 months or 18 months time to go through them? Very unlikely. So just keep that in mind as well, because we hold on to everything just in case. And I see this as well with my clients, you know, there's exams coming up where they're like, oh, that could be handy. But then it's irrelevant to that curriculum year. So you have to really just kind of be, I suppose, you know, narrow it down, because we can hold on to everything, but it has to be real time. So I would say, you know, if it's not real time, maybe put that away, maybe I find a lot, I remember one client in particular was holding on to notes for another sibling. They had done great grinds. They were like, oh my God, they were fantastic notes. But then that might come up in that curriculum year, you know, so sometimes you have to kind of box things off and say, okay, that's not current at the moment, and come back to that.
Definitely, Anne-Marie, and that's such a valid point, because I suppose when I finished my first section of academic study, let's say, I had this massive filing cabinet and everything was color coded, and spent a huge amount of money and everything going in these lovely boxes because we did so many subjects in university. And then I was like, when I got to the end of it, because you had to keep them really for the full 4 years because of the content, but then I was thinking, oh, I can, you know, give these to another student, or, you know, turn it into a business and sell on all of these, because thankfully it worked out well. Like I got through the program. And then completely to that advantage, some of the modules that I did in first year weren't even on the curriculum anymore. Some of the lectures were different. So then the content totally changed. So I would suggest, I suppose, definitely that review process, both between junior and senior cycle, and then obviously then in third level or further studies, as to how applicable is this, and actually what do you want to do with it? Because if you're not hoping to send it on to somebody else, what are you hanging on to it for? You know, it's just adding
Just
additional.
adding, and it's adding more like overwhelm and anxiety then to the mix as well, which we can do without, because that's what clutter does. We're surrounded by clutter, like at any age, Una, it's affecting our concentration, our productivity, our mood, the relationships in the home. So it's again just to kind of keep things nice and calm, but definitely just see exactly what you actually need, because the amount of people that hold on to items, oh, I'll give that to my niece, or I'll give that to, you know, a first cousin who's doing maybe a nursing exams, totally different. Like it'll be the same kind, like same course, but it's done differently, or it's education a different format.
Completely. Yes. Yeah, definitely. And as you say, books, you know, anything paper wise really adds up. And obviously, we would work with a lot of students that have a neurodiverse background. So,
Yeah.
generally, at times, the printout versions are way more useful for them. So, we would have lots of students that either through COVID and now in general might, you know, if
Yeah.
there's handouts, they'll all be filed and folded and, you know,
Yeah.
stacks away. And then some won't have them as organized, but they'll still have them all in sheets
Yeah.
form. But sheets accumulate a lot of clutter in space as well, Anne-Marie, don't they? I suppose adding up
So,
over
yeah.
time.
And I would say definitely like if there's sheets, you know, again, like can you put them into a folder, like a leave out folder, something that, you know, because if you're going off trying to study, you're trying to like get all your notes together and they're all, you know, fly away everywhere and anywhere and they're get messy and you're like straight away you're going to be frustrated and the anxiety is going to build up. So again, it's having that calm, you know, a clear desk and having, you know, your notes nicely put together. If it's in like an eBart folder or in like a hardback copy, have them together, but definitely group things together and know where things are.
Yes. Yeah. And I suppose on those weekly activities then, Anne-Marie, for kids doing different sports and different ballets and arts and music and those items that they need to bring, any kind of practical tips and suggestions you might have around that, Anne-Marie, because we regularly get asked, okay, well, they go to these activities and they're often nearly forgetting something or not finding it in the house or those, weekly things that are reoccurring.
So I'd always say, like I was saying actually to a client only recently, I got like, and I have it for a few years, I got a fine big, it's a bucket bag in Dunnes Stores. I'd say probably 2 or 3 years ago. And no doubt it's probably back out again in the shops, but that's for all our swimming. For example, I'm going to take swimming as an example. All our swimming stuff is inside there. The goggles, the togs, the nappies for Cara, our togs, the hats, everything. So the swimming, the lads know exactly here where to go. I'm all about grouping the same things together. For another client as well, recently again, there was camogie and gag going on and horse riding. Having like again a simple storage box, putting all the horse riding stuff together, the boots, the jumpers, the socks, and the body protectors and helmets, they're all inside that box. Again, they can access them. And again, it's getting into the habit of telling the lads, like, whatever age, even our husbands, where things go. It's about, it's fine to take things out, but everything should have its place. So put it back in its place again. Instead of just throwing it anywhere, it's making sure that you have a place for it. But grouping the same things together will make life so much easier. And again, it's just having a look, and again, going back to like your utility, like where are you storing these items? Again, can you dedicate an area to it, like a press, a cupboard, whatever it may be, but putting it together. Don't, where I see where people go around and look, that's life is just busy. We live in a very busy, hectic life. It's go, go, go with kids and activities. But you'd find there could be togs on one side, there could be like, the goggles could be upstairs in another place. Put them together and it's like, everything's together and it'll make it so much easier for you. And it's much calmer. There'll be no screaming in the morning, Mom, whereas such and such. It's about, it's like, okay, you know where they are, get them ready. And again, another thing would be, I find getting you ready the night before, have you ready, like in anything for us adults and for kids, it just takes the anxiety because it's the morning that, someone may be sick or someone sleeps in or poor mammy might sleep in. And then we're like headless chickens around the place. Preparation is key and being organized will take that. So if something does happen, you're still back on course very quickly with it.
Yes, very much so. And I
Yeah.
was very useful to put things into those bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
And Marie, for anybody listening in, either maybe a teacher that's doing a kind of attack a classroom or, even a parent or somebody at home that, maybe has several areas, and at times that build of where do we start or how do we even make any progress? What suggestions might you have for those people that maybe just now transitioning into this or maybe wanting to develop this as a habit as to what they could start doing those small steps initially if there's a room or there's a space that's quite overwhelming?
Yeah, and that's what, again, decluttering is putting into small chunks. Some people can declutter no bother at all, but it's making it that daily habit. Make it, it's you're doing it unknown to yourself, and it's knowing the difference. Then you'd be surprised, the amount of people that get decluttering, cleaning, and tidying all mixed up. Like decluttering is your ability to let go. So this clutter, i.e., it's unused, unwanted, and unloved. If it's with tags, if it's not used, that's fine too because we all have those mistake buys, okay? But again, it's knowing the difference, what clutter is, and if you're ready to let go, getting them out of the house in 24 hours is key. The amount of people that move the black bags around, and I would do it ever so often, you might just have, one of those days, things might be going too good. Just again, like getting those bags into the car, but getting them to their destination. Charity shop, the recycling centre, these are two fantastic, destinations to take your clutter. Again, family and friends, pay it forward. Or sell is another option, but that is to get the clutter out. Tidying then is just tidying like up after breakfast, whatever, putting things back in its place. Then spring cleaning, just to explain again, spring cleaning is back in the days like of our parents. And again, the curtains were taken down, the blinds were taken down, the walls were washed. The house was freshened up. Totally different. The amount of people that get all those three mixed up, it's phenomenal, to be quite honest. It gets me every time. But it's going back again, like break it down into small chunks. And I would say definitely, before I was just thinking, I'd say, and first of all, before you start decluttering, right, some of us are great for decluttering, but sometimes we need to declutter within here. And this is also for students as well, Una. It's, when you're thinking, oh, the tasks I've already written a few things down in my head that was in my head for a few days, so I need to tackle this week. But what I came up with was a declutter your mind, and you could do it very simply, or it's on my website as well. But it's getting all these thoughts, like again, it could be okay, organized, a desk maybe for Quiva's room for studying. Maybe I need to, organize different things, organize tablets, do shopping, whatever the task, ring the dentist, whatever the case may be, all these thoughts. But when I did this first, when I developed this first, I used to be very overwhelmed, and I was kind of saying, oh my God, I'd have nothing to show at the end of the day. I was kind of saying, I've done nothing. I wanted to do A, B, C, and D, and I was lucky if I got A done because I was so scattered and couldn't kind of follow through. But when I did that, I had 133 things in my poor head. So you can imagine then why you can't see productivity on the other side, and that's for all of us, for kids and for adults. So when I got all this, when I decluttered here and got it onto paper, and I get fierce satisfaction, and when I like crossing things out, and the biro nearly gets harder, to be quite honest. I'm like, ugh, it's done, dusted, because there's going to be another 133 things come again the next week. And that's why, it's kind of to keep on top of it, but definitely do a brain dump and get everything out onto paper, and you feel so much better for it, will be definitely number one. And break it down into chunk size. So again, set your phone or your Fitbit for 10 or 15 minutes. I'd always say, where would you start? Start where, where you're not overwhelmed. So overwhelmed, you wouldn't be starting with keepsakes and anything sentimental. I'd always say start with the bras, the underwear, the tights, the pajamas, things like that. And again, paperwork, I always say paperwork is the very slowest part of decluttering, because you're checking for retention periods, you're checking, and it's very slow and tedious. So I would definitely park that aside. So definitely start like with the clothes and get those bags out of the house within that evening or the next day at the latest. Again, use the charity bins if it's regards to clothing. Charity bins are fantastic. They're opened every Tuesday and Thursday. They're taken up to a warehouse. They're collected here locally in West Cork. On a Tuesday, they're taken up to the city in near Manpoint, and they're opened, and then they're dispersed out to different charity shops. They'll sort them out again if there is items for recycling or for sale. So put the onus back at the charity shop, because you're like, oh, I can't throw that in. They will sort that out, and anything they won't sell will be recycled back into clothing and footwear. So again, start with small and start shelf by shelf. Don't go in like, oh, I'm going to take everything. And that's why I suppose I do it differently. I don't do Marie Kondo style whatsoever. Why? Because the overwhelm is going to kick in when you bring all the same items into one room. I'm all about doing it shelf by shelf, room by room. You do it in a nice pace. Set in the phone, as I said, for 10 or 15 minutes. And before you know it, you'll reset it again, and you'll have an hour, 2 hours done before you know it. And you're like, oh my God, I've actually achieved more than I thought I would. And again, I would say definitely turn off your phone. Don't tell your family and friends that you're going decluttering, because they will come over and there'll be more tea and coffee made in that time and nothing to show. Just do it at your own pace. Set the time aside, and then it's definitely now, like when the kids are kind of coming running down to the last couple of weeks of school, do it when you have no distractions. If they're in school, if you kind of say, right, or there's you have kind of a quiet morning, tackle it, put on your favorite podcast, your favorite music, do it when your energy is at its highest is another thing. And I'd always say as well, coming up to students, like coming up to exam time, like this is where my brand came from using White Sage. White Sage is fantastic for, again, clearing negative energy out of the house, fantastic to improve sleep. So like if students are studying, or if there's mature students as well studying, clearing out that space and saging it out, it'll definitely enhance, intuition. It'll just help you with everything, mood, reduce anxiety, and just help your overall well-being as well, Luna.
Fabulous, yeah, and like so much in that, I suppose, Marie, which is so great. But I suppose that main one, as you said, when we do bits of the decluttering, for it to be then eliminated. So it's not there, we're not passing it around, because actually I have found previously, and students that we've worked with, then there's oh, I might go back into the bag, and then before we know it, stuff is actually coming back out of the
Yeah,
bag and back
yeah.
into the house. So it's about that, okay, we've made a decision, and now
Made
let's
decisions.
just park it, so then it's not going back or rechecking, and then kind of that over analytical stage. And I
Yeah.
suppose, Emery, then for that transition between school period and summer, and particularly the bedrooms of students kind of all age groups, younger kids
Mhm.
and maybe teenagers, because they may have more books and more kind of levels of let's say schoolwork.
Yeah.
What might be the tools there if there isn't a lot of storage space, or a student has to kind of keep their books and their bits of their homework in the bedroom? What kind of practical things might they be able to do at home to try and eliminate looking at them, during the summertime when they go into their bedroom?
Yeah. So again, like, if there is, like, first of all, when you clear out the bags, again, like at the end of, say, June, May and June, that'll eliminate a lot of stuff, to be quite honest. And again, like, if there's, because what I always say, like, when you're lying in your bed, all right, you should have very little clutter around you, because that's energy. It's energy, it's busy energy going on, and it's affecting your sleep and well-being. So it's very hard for you to switch off. And like, we'd have very little storage in our home, in our bedrooms for our kids, but less is more. I've gone into bedrooms and there could be nursing chairs, there could be, exercise equipment. Keep your bedroom to the bed, two lockers, and like a chest of drawers or wardrobe. Keep it very simple. The amount of homes that have too much storage or too much things in the bedroom, they're not associated with a bedroom, definitely get them out. Okay. And I'm all about, again, have a look around your home and see, can you like relocate things? Bedrooms aren't being used to their max. And again, find as well, it would be another thing you'd be on about storage, like, but I find a lot that the mammies, that their wardrobe starts to spill into the kids' wardrobes. And then the kids can't put their clothes away. And they hence their storage, their storage is reduced doing it straight away. So I'd be kind of saying, right, if it starts to spin into bedrooms, okay, there's a bit of an issue there. You need to kind of start taking them back out and say, okay, come on, grouping them back into your wardrobe, and kind of, have you used them in the last 12 to 18 months? It could be, I come across a lot of, there could be Holy Communion dresses that are there kind of 20 years ago. Confirmation outfits. Do we need to keep them? Are they going to be used again? Or maybe, they could go up to the attic and be vacuum packed. But there's no point, of the wardrobes, if you can put your clothes into your wardrobes, because there's plenty, I always say there's plenty storage in everyone's house. It's about utilizing it correctly. And when you do utilize it correctly, that's where you're not going to be falling over items. It's not going to be a trip hazard, and you're not going to have that busy energy, when you're trying to switch off, or if you're trying to study, because of everything that's going on in the room. So, reduce definitely items in the bedroom, which would be a huge, huge game changer for everyone listening.
Massive, yeah. And the orientation, which I know is kind of more of an interior side, another level of the tidy, the sprinkling, and the interior design side, but all very vital really for our concentration and focus. And even for, so much people are working from home in general, since obviously post-COVID, that's a regular thing, and how vital that office space is at home, or that desk space is that impacts their concentration.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you're surrounded, like, like, if we come in, up to our office and the desk is all full of paper, you're like, oh, like, where do you start? Straight away, you're like, okay, it's just gonna drag you down straight away, and you're like, okay, and that's gonna probably, your mood straight away is dipping. It's going to take maybe 10 or 15 or maybe half an hour to kind of clear that desk, and all you're doing then is moving those piles to another corner that'll be moved again. Like, at the end of the evening, having that clear desk, kind of say, before you switch off, okay, let's clear it, and have it ready for the next day ahead, and have like that, have your, your notes or whatever for work, or a lot of people now with remote working, that you're prepared for the day ahead, because it just makes life so much easier. The small little things, the little prep, little habits that you can start doing the night before or early in the morning before you switch on your laptop or whatever like that, it'll really help you. Again, help you with productivity, concentration, and everything it'll just float nicer for you, to be quite honest.
Completely, yeah. And you were
Yeah,
saying a great thing earlier, Anne-Marie, about the timers, which can be
yeah,
very important for us all. We only maybe have a limited amount of time, or dropping and collecting and in and out of work, with those
yeah.
small chunks of time. But then also there's the small chunks, so we don't get maybe too overly ambitious. We might get stuck into something and we're in the wardrobe, and then we keep going. And then we're late, to pick somebody up or to drop something off. So, as
Yeah.
you said, tracking that time, I'm just doing this for a few minutes, and making those regular changes can really help then as well.
And you just mentioned there again, like track your time as well, because I see a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have time." What are you spending your time at? So from the minute you get up in the morning, track it from like about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. What are you actually doing? Are we scrolling on Facebook? Are we actually getting, productivity in? Because what happens is, we can be very busy, like we can be very busy fools, all of us, and then nothing to show for it, at the end of the day. Like, so it's again, I can say, okay, what's your priority today? So if it's the wardrobes, doing like, maybe an hour, that's it max. But what I would say, when you start decluttering will become infectious, because again, it's getting everyone involved, because, the clutter didn't just move in.
Yes.
We go back again, like to our parents and ancestors, they never had clutter because, they used everything. And it's from them, I suppose, that we have got clutter because we're minding everything. You can't throw that out. That'll be handy sometime. And that's the way we have been programmed now, you see, as well. So again, it's kind of deciding, okay, what are we actually using and what are we not using? But it's just, putting the time aside and say, okay, I'm decluttering for this time. But as I said, go back. Everyone has to get involved in the home. So the kids, if they're at that age, they can say, okay, when you go through your wardrobes, what's not fitting, what won't you wear again? I always see it like when, the kids are around here and I could see a growth spurt, but I could see, the shin bones are starting to see, I could see the ankles are starting to expose. I know the next day, like when they're washed, they're going in the bag for the charity shop for recycling. It's getting into that habit of just looking around and saying, okay, what am I using? Why am I still falling over this, pile of paper? And paper, as I said, is very slow. And I tackled mine here yesterday because it was driving me demented. But it's setting that time. And when you do declutter, like I said, you get infectious from it. You get so motivated and driven. You're like, because you feel so much lighter when you do declutter. And again, you're releasing those happy hormones into the bloodstream because you feel so much better about yourself. Because when you're surrounded, as I keep saying, by clutter all the time, it drags us down. The overwhelm, all these feelings are coming up. We're getting, we're embarrassed by our house. We don't want to invite people in. Maybe you don't want to have, play dates. You don't go for date nights. I see this so much in my line of work because of the clutter, how it's affected them physically, mentally, and emotionally. Because it does. It affects people on different levels.
Yes, yeah, and I suppose we, often get so used to it. Maybe, as you say, we pick up
Yeah,
patterns maybe from others or
yeah.
siblings or home, and then it just, the little bits build. We don't go out one day and bring home a load of clutter, but it's those small things that add on a regular basis. And I suppose you were saying there, Marie, of other people involved, but also, as you were saying, kind of dedicating those times as well. Maybe if you're a parent and you have small kids, trying to maybe do little bits as well. Maybe when you're by yourself would be a good
I would
suggestion.
say so. Yeah, if you have small
Yeah.
kids and the amount of, over the years, I've 7 years of business and the amount of mammies over the years, they're like, oh, I won't declutter now, it's not a good time because my kids are small. It's a perfect time to start decluttering. Once you have, once you kind of know that, okay, you're not clearing your countertops, you can't do the housework to its full ability, there's piles of stuff everywhere and and you see it starts as a small seed. Clutter, as I said, it doesn't just move in. Clutter happens for different reasons. So it could be the arrival of a baby. I always say we never had clutter until kids came because the equipment that come with them, it's all the clothes. Then you have to hold on the clothes in for the other siblings. Then you might hold on to a bag of clothes for your sister or your brother who's going having a baby. So it starts like just going out, just growing and multiplying. So really, it's just kind of saying, okay, where do we kind of stop? So that's the arrival of the baby. There could be sickness in the home. There could be surgery, there could be going through treatment, a debt. I would see this quite a lot when there's debt or there's trauma in the home. Again, emotional buying kicks in, and that's really what it is. House move, empty nesters, it happens for different reasons. And again, we start buying stuff in. We start bringing stuff in. And I'd always say, again, going back to the students, see what you have. The way, I suppose now it's a bit easier because, okay, the books are they're being got through the school, and we don't have to, because I remember last year I was and I know so many other parents were a bit like, it took us a while to get back into August, September, because we'd no books. We were programmed, we handed in the list, there was no list and there was no books. And it took us a while then to collect the other little bits. But go back and see, is there twistables? And I find like hundreds of twistables. I don't know how many toppers and pencils. Use what you have first, and that's going to eliminate them buying those duplicates like Una that are not needed, but group them. Get branded storage boxes. You can get them in Deals or Mr. Price or Dunn's. Put all the twistables together, the pencils, the biros. That's what I did for a client there last week, and it was absolutely amazing. And use what you have before you go up buying, and that's for any area of the home. So like if you have 10 bags of pasta, let the pasta just go down to nothing, and then restock when you actually need it. This is where people, I've so many clients say to me, I'm terrified of running out of things. We won't run out. And I think during COVID, everyone stocked up. When I think back in pasta and toilet paper, I don't know why they were the two items, but use what you have first. I literally leave my fridge or freezer, like I'll declutter it down to nothing, and then it's grand. It's very easy then to give the fridge a good clean, thorough clean, and restock. You're not going to tackle it when the fridge is full to the gills of stuff and you're going through dates and everything like that. But just use up, guys, what you have first, and then say, okay, do you know what? Take a stock take, and see exactly then, do you know what? There's no mathematical set, or the ruler's broken or whatever. Then that's where you go buy. Don't go buying in a whim and say, oh, we might need it. Buy if you actually have a reason to buy it.
Completely, yeah, and that's such a fabulous one for the home in general, but also for school-based, Anne-Marie, because there's that fear, and I'd say it's ingrained in us as a fear probably long before COVID, but very much heightened since COVID. Sure, we'll just get another one, just in case, and then we accumulate, as you say, and then we 3 spatulas and 4 this and 5 that, and do we really need the multiples of something? So it's a very good suggestion about, do we need, as you say, the markers and the 25,000 copybooks? What's the use of all of those being stored at the one time? And I suppose with our students, maybe from the neurodiversity side, stationery would be a massive one. Particular pens and pencils and coloured notebooks and bits and pieces, and then that might be, they'll find a new one in a different shop, or they go on holidays and they'll find a new one of this and a new one of that, and then before you know it, you've nearly a stationery shop at home, that you can open up, and then it's always, sure, we'll use it at some stage. Well, maybe if you do 12 PhDs. Other than that, you probably won't get through all of it. So,
and you have to be, as well, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, I've had clients, like that over the years, and would have bought things, and then the kids have grown up because they couldn't find the items. And sometimes you just have to, it's like the odd socks. You just have to clear the decks and say, what, let's do a clean sweep here. We have to just wipe the slate clean and just start from scratch. And I would see that a lot, with clients. They've just bought so many, and they're like, oh my God, and they'd be absolutely mortified. And I was like, come here, we're all human, right? We're all human. But if you can't find items, I totally get it. It is so much easier just to go out and buy another one, to save that energy and stress upon yourself and for the kids. So just as I said, use up everything, but it will make life so much easier when you can see them. Dedicate. I always say, again, like my kids now, well, Cara's still doing it, but we have as I say, an art and crafts press in our kitchen for the last, 10, 11 years. Basically, the paint is in there, the Play-Doh's in there, the colours are inside there. What I got actually was fantastic. I have for years. It's a bamboo. It's kind of like how would I explain? It's kind of like a wooden item for. What I might do, I might snap it on you. You can actually put it up maybe on your page. But it's like a bamboo holder, a circular one. It's kind of like a Lazy Susie, but all the colours go into it, and they could see all the colours, all the twistables. And it was the best thing I ever bought, because there was twistables being left here, there was markers there, and they can see them in the bamboo unit. And I got it on Amazon, and it was absolutely the best thing I actually ever bought for the kids, because they can see everything. But go back again, dedicate a press like for art and crafts, and again review it. As the kids get older, you'll say, okay, look, they're gone past the Play-Doh stage, that'll go out. I found out with a client there now, the few clients actually over the last 2 weeks, and they clear them out. They're like, they're not playing with them anymore. Aqua beads, and I moved them on, and where they went, then they were absolutely delighted. Beautiful donation went off to a local school and to another business, and they were thrilled with these items. And that's what it's about. It's, you know, if you're not getting use out of it, why not spread the love and someone else get the use out of?
Completely, yeah, as you were saying, which is fabulous. And Marie, anybody that might be, let's say, a little stuck now or unsure of how to kind of move forward, or maybe just wanting that extra pair of hands, and maybe just wanting a little bit of an extra support, how best can they link in with you, or what would be the best kind of way for them to approach this topic?
Yeah, so what I would say, again, like where I usually hang out is on Facebook at White Sage Decluttering. So I would find a lot of clients watch me there for a while behind the scenes, as they say, and we were kind of stalking you for a while because you have to be ready to let go. You can't force it, whatever age group. So again, like I'd have a lot of people following me for a good while, before they're ready, while other clients, they come across me, they book me straight away. But they find by listening to my live videos, they kind of connect with me, how I go about things, because when I declutter any area of home, and I usually have it decluttered in 6 hours. Sometimes it might take 2 days, depending on what is in that home. So usually it's Facebook, and then on my website as well at www.whitesagedecluttering.com. It's where also there's more details.
Fabulous, perfect, thank you. And I'm sure, lots of the practical tools can be implemented from people that tuned in, and then also those, ever essential tips where they can, link in then with yourself if they wanted any bits more of that kind of
Yeah,
regular suggestions. Fabulous. Thanks a million for joining us, Anne-Marie. It's so lovely to have you on board, and we'll all start decluttering away now since we finished.
perfect. Thank you, Anna, for the opportunity.